Hello and welcome to Fashion Report Friday, the weekly video series trying to get you the most MGP humanly possible from the Mandeville Gold Saucer from the Fashion Report minigame located here and judged every Friday. This is week 274. If we talk to the Masked Rose, you'll find that the theme is Fashionable Fieldwork. This includes the clues of the wild side for your helm, brain over brawn for your body, guardian's garb for our hands, and on ceremony for our feet. In this video, we have a 100 score, an 80 with dice, and the easiest 80 we could come up with. Without further ado, let's get to that 100 score. For the 100 score then, as you can see, we went for a mixture of items as well as dies. This is actually because one of the items I found pretty difficult to obtain today, and I basically gave in and started to mix and match. So this is actually quite an easy way of doing it as well. For the helm, I went for the Anemos hat, which is normally acquired through Anemos lockboxes. Alternatively to this, you can also use stuff like the Gayuki leather hat, which is vendor purchase, the Gagana skin hat of aiming, and I believe the boar skin survival hat will also work. And what I've done is I've dyed that Oppo Brown dye. Now Oppo Brown is a vendor purchase dye, so you can get that from dye merchants such as Nanabe if you went over to Uldar, for example, in the Sapphire Avenue exchange. And yeah, it's a pretty good option all in all. And I went for the Anemos hat, which again is from those Anemos lockboxes from Eureka. But you can get this stuff on the market board quite cheaply as well. For the chest then, in tandem for that, it's brain over brawn. And that means that whilst ordinarily you'd be able to use any other Shire chest piece, only certain ones will work. So we've gone for the augmented Shire Preceptor's coat, which cost me 510 Allegan Poetics from his mainer over in Idleshire. I just simply did my Wondrous Tales to get enough to actually get that today, because I had a few leftover Poetics, and I've dyed that Snow White dye just to bump up a few extra points for the other slots that I didn't decide to fill. It's a pretty good option. Alternatively to this, you can go for the Shire Conservator's coat as well. You can go for the Shire Philosopher's coat, and there's also some other items that will work. For example, if you're a scholar, the Antiquated Savant's overcoat will also work. The Scholar's Gown and the Argut gown will also work as well. And those are obtained through Scholar quests, Centurio seals, all sorts of bits and pieces like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you are a caster, this is the easiest way of approaching this. So for the gloves then, I just went with any old gloves. The reason I went for any old gloves is because the exact set of Palaka vambraces or gloves that I wanted, which I wanted to go and get the healing ones today. Palaka gloves then from Vanasparti, one of the Endwalker dungeons. Any of the Palaka vambraces and gloves will work, but you are obviously going to be locked behind that sort of caster or healer chest piece sort of direction. So you're looking for the healing or casting Palaka gloves. I just decided to go for any gloves, so I'm just wearing false nails here, but it's really the dye that helps bump it up, which is the blood red dye this week. So we've got any gloves and we've dyed those blood red. Then I've got any legs in the game and I've dyed those Ochu green. Again, blood red, NPC vendor, Ochu green, craftable dye. Really cheap, actually. And then we've got the True Griffin Sandals of Healing equipped. Now, you can use the True Griffin Sandals of Casting as well. You can even use the Demon Sandals of Healing, Casting, or indeed Striking as well, which are actually from the World of Darkness raid, if you've ever done that, Alliance raid, and also the True Griffin Caligay of Striking and Scouting will work as well. Again, you're going to have to be limiting this to caster or healer, though, to go with that chest piece specifically. Brain over brawn is basically casting Dominion over every other slot. So yeah, it's not a bad setup. It is a mixture of dies as well as items, but it was the easiest way that a lot of people did this today. So let's move on to an 80 just purely with dies. Okay, looking at the dies then, the dies really save it for the most part this week, I think you'll agree here. So we have Oppo Brown, which is NPC vendor purchase, like we said before, on both a weapon and any helm in the game. Then we have Snow White die, which is a vendor purchase die on any chest piece in the game. Then we have Blood Red on any gloves in the game, also vendor purchased. Then we have Ochu Green on any legs in the game, which is also crafted very easily. And then the only rough one is Gunmetal Black, which would obviously cost you 400 Sky Builder scripts on any boots in a game. But of course, all of those other dies are really important for making that 100 I showed you, and they're going to go on to the Easy 80 as well, which, yeah, honestly, Gunmetal Black, the only problem there. The rest of those are very easy to obtain. Speaking of an Easy 80 though, let's show you the easiest possible way of getting your MGP for the week. Alright, here's the plan. This is how we get our Easy 80 to work then. First of all, we went to Uldar Sapphire Avenue Exchange, which is located here in Uldar, Steps of Thal, and I've just gone right from the Aetheryte up to Nanabay, the independent merchant. And what we're going to buy from Nanabay specifically is we're going to dye our gear Snow White and Blood Red. So we're going to go and get ourselves Blood Red from Nanabay. And as you can see, that's 40 gil for a single pot. Let's buy one of them. And then we're going to go over to the Ixali, or we're going to go to the market board and we're going to buy Snow White dye. Okay, once we've got either from the Ixali or the market board some Snow White dye and also vendor purchase Blood Red dye, we're either going to craft, if we have access to that, which this character doesn't, or we're going to look on the market board for the cheapest hat possible. Now, on your server, Anemos hats might be cheaper, but a lot of people are going to raise the prices of this, and as you can see, a lot of people are already buying all of those. One of the ones that I would recommend is the boar skin, if I could type properly, boar skin at the bottom, or if you type in survival hat, this will cost you a lot less. That's because the materials to craft this are pretty easy. I would recommend crafting this yourself or getting someone else to help you craft this. But yes, essentially that's the item we're going to go for, I think. But any of the hats probably are the easiest option. And then when we come over to the Gold Saucer and we do our judging, essentially what we want to do is have our hat of choice, which in my opinion is best to go for the boar skin survival hat. But if you can craft this, all the better. And then we've got any chest in the game. I'm just using the Valention stuff that I got on my alt here. And dye that Snow White. And then any gloves in the game at all, and dye those the Blood Red dye. If you have those two dyes, as well as this hat or the Anemos hat or whatever else, you will get an 80 score guaranteed, as long as you fill your slots with something on both right and left side, okay? So, of course, other ways of doing this would be mixing any of those two dyes with any one item from the 100 score. So if you had the Palaka gloves, you could essentially use those. It just means you'd have to dye something else. Yeah, two dyes, one item. That's how we do it. Easiest possible 80. But I think this is probably one of the better solutions. Probably one of the cheaper solutions. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Reddit thread where this is theorized each and every week for the items will be linked in the description of the video. Go give that some love if you like Reddit. And of course, thank you so much for watching. 274 episodes deep. Let's see how many more we can go through. This was quite a tricky one, actually. I spent most of the day trying to get those gloves and then just gave up and went this direction instead. So you might feel the same way, unless your RNG is good. Anyway, best wishes, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.